Today, the main topic of our conversation is the configuration and initial setup. And well, we will talk about now what we set up in a system and what kind of requirements we have to run RigER smoothly. So initial setup, it's usually done on the background. We assign a database PIN number, create new database, copy templates, publish on a server, create a thin client for use on Windows and Mac devices, create emails and notify implementation team about the new database and send all the links to users, build the database configuration, register database in the monitor and backup, create organization in RigER support and add users in RigER support server, and connect to the backup schedule. All our databases backup at night, usually between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. and every night. So, the next step will be understanding what kind of clients we need for the system, thin client, web client, mobile client, a number of users, because RigER is a multi-user and multi-device environment. So you can use it in different platform and different devices. We have more than 50 different features in RigER, and they combine in different plans. We have more than 5 add-ons and 4 modules. So depending on requirements, we can build a particular configuration with such a features open and ready to go for a particular client. And depending on the number of requirements and number of features, we can have a different configuration for the different client. The very important document is an implementation plan, and this is an example. And of course, every different client will have a different implementation plan from starting to the live start day, depending on what kind of requirements and what kind of customization particular client has. If we talk about configuration step by step, we have 8 main steps from choosing the starting date when we will run all our documents in RigER. Then rental units and serial numbers, unit numbers, setup, service, goods, materials, prices, taxes, company structures and users, clients, locations, and contacts. And then current rental agreements and beginning balances of the equipment will move to the client locations. So let's talk a little bit more precise about every step. Starting date. The starting date is a very important thing, and usually it could be a first day of the month or quarter or year. It could be a financial year. It could be a calendar year. And since that date, all the transactions, like all operations transactions, will be in RigER. And so to do that available, to have this in a system, we do a preparation documents before the start date, and actual documents they will be after the start date. So the preparation docs will be purchasing of the rental unit, all the assembling list, settings of the database, intercompany movements if you have different yards, different locations, rental agreements, and rig-up delivery tickets or start delivery tickets to start the new job, the rental job, since that starting date. We have lots of different approaches how to dealing with that. In many cases, the best date will be January 1st, will be a calendar year, or it could be the financial year if it differ from January 1st. Like if you have a year and say March 31st, April 1st will be the best day to start this, um, to start all the operations in RigER. The next very important thing, it will be a rental fleet. So we need to understand and describe in the system list of rental units, fleet structure, kits, bundles, combo units, assemblies, serial numbers and unit numbers, sub-rental equipment, if any, vendors and warranties, if we need to track it, service and repairs, maintenance cycles, and other important data. So RigER is very robust system and has a lot of different information about rental fleets. As mm, the better you provide the quality of the data, then better information you will have in RigER. In terms of rental fleet structure, here is we have some of the example. So we have items and we have rental units and categories of different rental units. And then we have services, tools, and parts. So usually we have a rental group, and then we have a rental unit, and in the rental units we have a unit numbers or serial numbers. Another combination will be a combo unit where we have several rental units bolted together for the particular job. If you have several rental units bolted together for the multiple jobs, we will use assembly for that purposes. And sometimes some of our clients use packages, which will be a combination between rental units and services. So in this case, we can build rental fleet structure down the road, but we recommend to think about this before we'll provide data to RigER because sometimes it could be a huge amount of data to move between different categories. We started, I would say that if we talk about rental units, we can handle from 100 units, like just like minimum, to multiple thousands of different units. I believe that the maximum records which we have right now would be maybe 10 to 15,000 of serial numbers, rental unit numbers. After we entering all the that volume of information, we need to purchase those units, and the purchase date could be actual purchase date or could be any date before the starting date. So we need to make those units available in the system. So we have 3 documents for that: purchase order, purchase invoice, a bill of lading. And in the purchase invoice, the purchase order, sorry, we enter book value and quantity and cost. Based on purchase order, we generate purchase invoice, and based on purchase invoice, we generate bill of lading, where we enter unit numbers or serial numbers of our units. It could be entered manually, or it could be uploaded from Microsoft Excel file. After that, when we have them available, we can combine them and build assembly lists and combine units together and build assembly kit. For example, the good example of the assembly kit would be the tank and chassis. And so we can bolt them together and track 2 separate serial numbers as one serial number. And it could be for a number of months or number of years. So we will track them separately. However, it could be a different maintenance cycle for different, say, for chassis and for tank, and a different repair expenses, etc. So we can separate them and track them as different unit numbers. However, when we will move them to the field, it will be a 1 unit number. Another approach will be a combo unit. A combo unit, it will be pretty much the same approach. However, it will be only for the one job. So we put combo units together in a delivery ticket and disassemble them in a delivery ticket when we return the unit. Next thing, it's understanding what kind of services and additional goods we add to the system. So we need to add all the services which we will have in invoices. It could be a delivery, it could be pickup service, cleaning, trucking, any field jobs. Especially if we talk about oilfield services, so it will be a number of services. It could be a labor, it could be operator, supervisor, towers, etc. Then we do enter all the contractors, vendors, and warranties if we have any. Put some service metrics, hours, mileage, days, etc. Understanding what we do as inventory tracking, as parts and materials which we use for services, and other important data can be used as well. So service structure, it could be pretty much the same which we have for rental units. So the service structure will be a service group, service item, and it could be up to 5 to 7 different levels of groups of services. And we can connect services and rental units and back rental units and services. So when you select, for example, the generator, we can connect two services to this generator, and so deliver and pick up services will pop up automatically. And all kind of different things and all kind of different connections should be set up in RigER before we start working. Another point, we need to enter prices and taxes. It's very important in US, the sales tax. It's not really a big deal in Canada because in Canada, we have the province tax. In US, there are lots of different taxes and tax brackets. In terms of price, we have very robust and wide price management system in RigER. We can put a general price list. We can put the price book for general rentals. We can have a client price agreements where we can set a specific price for a particular client for a particular period of time. We can even select a specific division and put those separators and invoice different division of the client for different prices. And of course, we can apply some discounts. Next thing, company structure and users. So the company structure, we need to define what kind of departments we will have, what kind of internal location, shops, yards, storage, tanks, trucks we will use for to track all our equipment and materials and goods. Field technician list, dispatcher operator list, different users' roles and rights. Who will see what? Who will be responsible for what? Who will do what? So the entire business process needs to be described and implemented in RigER. The next step, when we purchase items and they available in usually in one shop or one yard, we need to allocate them and move them to the particular location where they stay at the start date. And in the start date, it will be intercompany transfer where we can move items from one location to another location, from one shop to another shop, from one yard to another yard. The next step, we enter clients, location, and contacts. So we have three levels of information about our clients. It will be a client list, with billing addresses, emails, accounting ID numbers to integrate with accounting systems. Location, and it could be a sub-location. So if you have a pad with multiple wells, it will be pad will be a location and well will be a sub-location. And contacts, it's a company man where we have a name, position, phone, and email address, and some information which we'd like to track. And of course, we can have a history about clients, location, and contact. And this information needs to be in RigER when we start working with it. The next step, we enter current rental agreements, and we define what we have right now for the starting date, where we have our equipment at the client's location. So we enter client's location, understand the number of rental units we have in every particular location, what kind of services we provide to this job, and dates and prices. So the rental service agreement will fix the prices, and we understand what we need to charge. And the next and a final step, we move actual unit numbers to the location. So we generate rig up or start delivery tickets and move our rental units to the particular location. And this is just a preparation and initial configuration steps of RigER. So we define the data, enter all the items, and our clients generate a rental service agreement and move all the equipment to the particular locations.